This is the Porsche Taycan. Beautiful, isn't it? This car can cost you up to $200,000, and for good reason. With its exquisite curves, powerful electric battery, and pure proportions, you can't help but feel a little insecure when faced with this beast. Let's find out how the Porsche Taycan is built in factory. The manufacturing process. The Porsche Taycan is mainly made of aluminum and steel, with specific components like strut mounts and axle mounts made of die-cast aluminum. Porsche has changed how they make their electric car, the Taycan, in a massive way. Unlike old-school car factories, the Taycan doesn't get put together on a traditional assembly line. No, sir. Instead, Porsche uses a smart system they call the Flexi line. This setup uses driverless carts that carry parts from one station to another all by themselves. This new method is not only delicious to look at, but also saves space and money, cutting down costs by about 30%. Plus, it lets Porsche easily change the production setup to fit in special requests from car buyers or add new features whenever needed. The first step in making a Porsche Taycan starts in the body shop. This is where the car's body is built from the bottom up. They begin with the underbody, which is the car's foundation. Here, the car gets something called a birth certificate, a special chip that holds all the details about the car. Then, the workers add the side parts and the roof, followed by the doors, the hood, that's the front part where the engine goes, and the trunk lid, the back part where you put your luggage. Even though machines do a lot of the work, Porsche is still all about the human touch. They make sure that their team of workers is involved because their skill is key to making top-notch sports cars. In fact, Porsche's team has grown to over 33,000 people, and just for the Taycan and another model called the Cross Turismo, they hired 1,500 more. So making electric cars is actually creating more jobs at Porsche. After the body shop, the car body goes to the paint shop. Here, it gets cleaned and then dipped in a special zinc phosphate solution to help the paint stick better and protect the car from rust. Next, the body is dipped again in a tank where it gets an electrically charged paint coat that sticks to every nook and cranny, making sure the car is well protected against rust. I've been in that tank too. It's pretty fun. Anyway, they seal all the seams next with a special material to keep water out, and finally, the car gets its color. They put on a primer, then the color coat, and lastly, a clear coat that makes the car shine and protects the paint. Each of these layers has its own job, from making sure the color looks great to protecting against scratches. After painting, the car goes through a final check in a light tunnel where any paint imperfections are spotted and fixed. The last step is putting everything together in the final assembly. This is where the car really starts to look like a Porsche. They take the doors off so they can work on the inside and outside separately, which makes it easier to put everything together right. This mix of machine work and handcrafting makes sure the car is built to perfection. They use a specific setup that lets them work on the car from all angles. They also put in the windshield, rear windows, and headlights. Then they put the doors back on and add the famous Porsche badge. An important part of the process is when they join the car's body with its engine and driveline in a step they apparently call marriage. After this, they hook up the engine wiring, fill up all the fluids, and put on the wheels. Before the car is finished, they test to make sure it starts right, check it over, and take it for a test drive. Quality control is super important at Porsche. They use both machines and people to check things out, making sure every car is up to Porsche's high standards. This includes the fit of parts, the paint job, and more. The cool part is that they use autonomous guided vehicles, AGVs, in their factory, which helps them be more flexible in how they build cars. They can even make different models on the same line, which is a big change from the old days of car making. Porsche's approach to building the Taycan is also about being kind to the environment and making sure their workers are skilled in the latest tech, especially for electric cars. They focus on eco-friendly practices, like using renewable energy and designing buildings that don't waste energy. Plus, they have a unique way of keeping nature in mind at their Leipzig plant by letting animals graze and live on the factory grounds, which is actually pretty creative, to be honest. Now let's talk about the factory, because a lot went down. Building the Taycan, Porsche created a new factory at its Zuffenhausen headquarters, a place with deep ties to the brand. This project was massive, with 130 companies and suppliers and 2,050 workers coming together. They had to clear the site, moving stuff around in 21 smaller projects, which meant over 6,000 relocations. The work involved setting up 530 containers for the construction team and laying 35 kilometers of cables. They used 35,000 tons of steel and 130,000 cubic meters of concrete, enough steel to make 5 Eiffel Towers. The Taycan is special to Porsche as it's a sign of the future with its powerful performance, long range, and quick charging thanks to its 800-volt technology. It's a sports car that's also good for daily use. Before anyone even saw the car, over 30,000 people from all over the world were already interested. Porsche knew they were doing something big, something that was, and I quote, well, above what we could have expected. Choosing Zuffenhausen wasn't easy. It was likened to doing heart surgery, as they had to fit in a new production line without stopping the making of other cars. This was tricky because the plant is right next to where people live and work, and there are lots of roads and a railway line there. Employees even showed their support by giving part of their salary increase to the project. That is unheard of.
Communists.
Making the Taycan was different from making cars with regular engines. It needed new skills, especially for handling the high-voltage tech. Porsche trained everyone to make sure the Taycan met their high-quality standards. They also kept the option for buyers to customize their Taycan, just like with other Porsche cars, because they know their customers love making their cars personal. They're just like me, for real. But instead of making my car personal, I take everything personal.
Now it's personal.
Did you know? Now that we've covered how the Porsche Taycan is built, this is where things get controversial. More specifically, Porsche's Nazi affiliations of its founder, Ferdinand Porsche. Before and during World War II, Porsche was heavily involved in designing vehicles for the German military, utilizing his engineering skills to support the Nazi war effort. This included creating military vehicles that were used across various fronts, working directly under the regime to produce vehicles like the infamous Schwimmwagen, an amphibious military vehicle. Porsche's association with the Nazis and his role in utilizing prisoner labor during the war has cast a long shadow over the company's legacy, showing Porsche's past is closely connected to a very troubling time in history. In short, making the Porsche Taycan is a mix of high-tech automation and skilled human work. From the innovative flexi-line system to the final quality checks, every step is designed to make sure the Taycan meets Porsche's high standards, all while being mindful of the environment and keeping jobs for people. Isn't it unique? And if you're interested in knowing how other things are built, which you probably are, let's face it, your next task is to watch our video on how Teslas are built. But be warned, it might make you buy it instantly.
Shut up and take my money!